Welcome to the chat on Newsday Amarillo and News Channel 10-2. I'm David Lovejoy.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Rhonda Lahnert.
And I'm Chuckalicious, Chuck Williams.
And as we approach upon something that we take great pride in being a part of and helping out, the battle against food insecurities in our community is real. Next week, we'll kick off the Together We Can food drive at Market Street. The High Plains Food Bank each and every day strives to fill those gaps in our community. Joining us is their leader, Mr. Zack Wilson, this morning. Zack, good to see you again.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, you're gearing up. It's a big time of year for you. I remember last year you had something that was so easy and so convenient for everybody that wanted to help you guys out in the form of a scan tag. Can you talk to us about how that has maybe propelled your campaign and gotten you where you need to be?
Yeah, so it really has started also with another great partner. I mean, obviously, you guys, KGNC and News Channel 10, but also United Supermarkets has been a partner for a long time in our food and fund drive, and they've really made it easy for everyone to participate, to help out. And it's as easy as adding $1 or however many dollars you'd like at the register when you check out. So if you go to any United supermarket, so it's not just here in Amarillo, it's all around the Panhandle, and you can purchase this little paper scan tag like you mentioned at the register and put $1 on it, $5, $10, whatever, and 100% of that comes back to us and goes towards our goal of raising food and funds for this week to then, of course, help us during the holiday season and into the new year. So it's a very easy way to donate, especially when you're at the store and picking up groceries for yourself.
Well, and a follow-up question to that I have is there one way that maybe is easier or more beneficial for the food bank for us to donate? Is there one that y'all prefer over the other?
Really since 2020 and what we saw there, $1 really goes a long way for us. And what happened in 2020 allowed us, and the support after that we received allowed us to bring in, a lot more food than, we previously had access to. So that $1 equals about 13 meals that we can provide. So even in the economy where we are now with prices and everything, we're really trying to stretch that $1 for as long as it goes. And another thing that we saw this year was the natural disasters,
right,
that struck our area. And if it wasn't for that support that we had from the previous year, we had a disaster inventory built up. We were able to respond to the floods in Hereford and then in Amarillo, and then of course Perryton was right after that. So, donating to us that way allows us to bring in a lot more food and help everybody out. So that's what we're able to stretch the most, is that monetary donation.
Now, when you start talking about stretching, let's face it, in this period of inflation, it seems like the stretching gets a little bit tighter each and every day, literally. Yeah. Do you see any end to this? Are we going to be able to stretch our inflation dollars even more?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I think just in some meetings that I've had recently and talking to some colleagues that literally have all over the country, we're kind of gearing up for the same thing in 2024. And, we always kind of dread when we have to get a part for one of our trucks. Right. How long is it going to take to get here? And then, of course, how much is it going to cost? But on the food side of things, it definitely has affected us. The cost of food has gone up, literally doubled sometimes what we've paid for a load of food that say that we wanted to bring in 2019 has gone up, tremendously. But, one thing that I know that we all know here is the generosity of the Texas Panhandle, and everyone who lives here just continues to rise above that. And that's what we've seen, this year. And so, yeah, it's harder than most to get on here and get ready for the food drive and say, hey, everyone, could you donate, when we know everybody is feeling that pinch right now. But as we saw earlier this year with the disasters, folks in Perryton, their lives changed in literally a minute. When they lost everything, and that tornado, which we never thought would happen really in our area, it did, and lives were really changed forever.
I want to ask you, Zach, about the gap. We talked about the pandemic, how that changed, who received donations, and how much donations you got in. Also, how many volunteers you could bring in to work there at the food bank. All that was affected by that. As we look at the cost now, we were just talking about how inflation is really hurting your dollar, your buying power. Are we filling the gap, or is the gap getting bigger?
It just seems like once we get work towards making some strides, especially after 2020, which was unprecedented for anybody, but really trying to grasp that and launch some additional mobile food pantries across the Texas Panhandle. Then that's when inflation really started to shoot up, and we now have a whole slew of folks, a lot of seniors, but then second behind that are probably families that are coming in and saying, hey, I can't afford $3.50 a gallon gas, even though that's gone down. But and then the cost of food, they just can't do that anymore. And it said, one person told me specifically, and this stuck out to me, their wages went up between 6 to 8%, but the cost of health insurance alone went up 22% for them. So that gain that they had was completely erased, and we're just seeing that more and more. So, I would say that as some gaps fill, others are opening, unfortunately, and due to our current environment and the disasters as well.
One thing we don't want to miss out and not speak about is we always think we think young kids when we think of food insecurities, but the elderly are hard hit by this issue too, aren't they?
Yeah, I mentioned, the gentleman who told me he was, definitely he was in his 40s and he had a good job, and he was telling me about it. They, those who are working, we have the, hopefully have the benefit of wage increases, but seniors who are definitely on a fixed income, a lot, and we mean a lot, have come and say, hey, I'm just relying just on Social Security. And there's definitely been some increases there, but definitely not enough to keep up with this record inflation. And so we've seen our senior food box program grow. Over 2,200 now seniors across the Panhandle that we're feeding specifically just with that program. But then with all of our other distribution channels, we're seeing more and more of our seniors in our rural areas, and it's growing here in Amarillo as well. And it always starts with the line of, I never thought I would need help. I never thought I would need to have it.
That's a major thing. Next week we kick off the Together We Can food drive. That doesn't say you can't donate now. Right now going on at United Market Street and Amigos, they made it easy. If it's just some change, you may not think it's a significant amount, but $1 to buy up to 13 meals for people on the High Plains. And that's another great thing about the High Plains Food Bank. Your dollar stays here, right here in this community. Come on out, join us, and hang out next week, but be a part of a warrior in the battle against food insecurities in our community. Stop on by. We'd love to see you. Got some great things to give you. And Zach, as always, thank you and all your hard-working crew over there at the High Plains Food Bank. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, sounds great. Chuck, David, Rhonda, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Once again, the Together We Can food drive next week at United Market Street and Amigos. We're back after this.